Hi, EED 675. I hope you enjoyed your break last week for Veterans Day. So we are on the last stretch of our semester. I just want to make sure everyone is on the right track in terms of the next steps. First, let me give you a little bit of overview about what we're going to do today. Now, the last time I saw many of you in class, we started exploring this whole idea of Louise Moll's funds of knowledge. We said funds of knowledge were traditions, cultures, attitudes, practices that children have inside of the classroom that we as teachers can hopefully bring into the classroom. Remember, the idea of funds of knowledge is to connect home and school. In class, I asked some of you how many of you felt a big disconnect between home and school growing up. Some of you said, yes, indeed, you did feel a big disconnect. And some of you said, no, we didn't feel a big disconnect between home and school. But the reality is, a lot of English language learners do feel a big disconnect between home and school. A lot of that, of course, has to do with language barriers, cultural barriers, if students are recent immigrants, immigration challenges as well. So, funds of knowledge was kind of the foundation. This week, we're going to be building upon that idea, and we're going to be looking at what we would call community assets. The Kretzmann and McKnight article that you will be reading is all about this whole idea of community assets. And Kretzmann and McKnight, what their goal was to say, hey, teachers, even though let's say you're working in a low income area, let's say you're working with high risk students, just because you're working in a low income, high risk area does not mean that your community is in a deficit. Now, granted, yes, if you're working in a low income school district, you will notice that other schools in higher income districts don't face similar challenges. But needless to say, the point of the article is that regardless of where you are, there are resources that are available to the students and that are also available to you as the teacher. So in the video you'll watch, so for today you'll do something different. We don't have a PowerPoint. I've given you a one-page assignment sheet similar to what you did for science. Basically, this week, you are going to be going on a treasure hunt for assets, community assets in the neighborhood in which you teach. Or if you would like to do your own neighborhood, you can do that. Now, Kretzmann and McKnight talk about different types of assets. They talk about institutional assets. They talk about individual assets. Well, what exactly does community assets mean? Community assets means that there are small businesses in your local area that could be of use to you. That means that there are parks that are in your area that could be of use to you. There are other resources. And when I'm talking about resources, I'm not talking about Carl's Jr. or McDonald's. So I prefer for you all to not put any fast food restaurants down as your assets. I'm talking about things that you can use in the community to apply in the classroom. So in the video you'll watch for this afternoon, you'll notice that there's a man who owns I can't remember the business. I think it's a car business. But he comes in and he does a presentation for the parents and for the teachers and the children, and he brings the resources that he has to the school. So the question is for you all this week, how can you draw upon the resources that are available and around to you? A lot of times companies, people, individuals will come in for free to support your students. So again, your goal this week is to find out what are community assets and what are the community assets in your neighborhood that you can use to support your students. And I encourage you, particularly those of you that are interested in STEM or social studies, what are the resources available? For example, I live near Balboa Park. In the past, you all looked out this semester since it's online, but in the past, for our science class, the whole class went to Balboa Park and we went bird watching and we looked at all the 15 plus arrays of birds. That's one simple funds community asset that exists in my particular neighborhood. Okay, so hopefully you all have an idea of, again, so you'll do the assignments. The assignment is in 3 parts. You'll watch a video clip first, then you will start thinking about the community assets. Then you will actually identify the community assets. All right, so that is your assignment for this week. And of course, as usual, you can either post your responses in the forum, or if it's longer than a page, you can email it to me directly. Okay. All right. The second thing is just a reminder. Pardon, I have to look at the syllabus. Just a reminder, we do not have a module for Thanksgiving week, okay? We do not have a module on 11/25. You will have a module on 12/2, and then our last course, we'll do kind of a review, will be on 12/9. The rest of the class is online. We are not meeting in person anymore this semester. You will submit your final projects via Dropbox. Hopefully by this point, all of you got your feedback on your research projects from me. If you have any questions, if you did not get that, everyone should have gotten that. If you did not get that for some reason, please contact me immediately. All right, just a few other tips. For those of you that are doing the case study, just remember I've uploaded quite a few assessment tools on the Moodle site for you to use. If for some reason you are still not sure about where to start in terms of assessing your student, and hopefully that's not the case because it's late in the semester, but if you are still not sure for some reason, by all means, please contact me. You have two types of case studies also to look at, two drafts or actually two past assignments that students handed in to me for case studies. Please review those once again. Also, please make sure that you review the syllabus. You look at the actual rubric/checklist because that's what I'll be using when I'm assessing you. Now, again, those of you that are doing, let's say, the community assets assignment, just a few tips. Remember, go back to that Louise Moll article when you're thinking about this assignment. Remember, your goal is to think about community assets, funds of knowledge, and then the last task is a literacy backpack. If you'd like to come to campus to bring me your backpack, you're welcome to. If you cannot come to campus to bring me your backpack, then I'm encouraging you to do a digital version of your backpack. That means you have copies of the books, or at least copies of the first several pages of the books you'll be using, and then you upload all of the activities, all the pictures, all the other resources that you like to add digitally. So again, if for some reason you like to turn in a hard copy, you're welcome to, and I'll make sure that that comes back to you. All right. Last but not least, for the class inquiry project. Again, if you haven't started transcribing, those of you doing the class inquiry, you need to do that ASAP because that is the most time-consuming part of the project. Also, the app Transcribe Me is a useful app for transcription, and they have lots of other apps for transcriptions nowadays. One thing I would recommend is number your lines in your transcripts, so when you talk about it in the body of your paper, you can just refer to it. In line 9, this student said the following. This demonstrates A, B, and C about this student as an English language learner. Okay? So again, those are key updates. By all means, if you have any questions, feel free to call me in my office. You can come during my office hours, Mondays and Tuesdays, 2 to 5. Honestly, I'm usually on campus much more than that, so just email me if you'd like to stop by, okay? All right, I hope everyone's having a great week, and let me know again if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.